takes Linda deep into the mountain land and reveals a hidden vegetable garden he secretly bought for her. Then they climb up to a messy, unstable plot to start building their tiny house from scratch. But can love really hold steady on ground that might not? Hi everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to follow Quang and Linda as they turn this wild hillside into their own little home, clearing the land, digging the foundation, hauling rocks from the stream, and starting a brand new life together. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Soft sunlight slips through the trees, turning the whole hillside warm and quiet. Quang walks a few steps ahead, then turns back with a gentle smile. Come in, my love. Linda follows him deeper into the land. At first, it's just grass, roots, and scattered trees. Then Quang points forward, his eyes lighting up like he's been waiting to show her this. Look, this place is so beautiful, isn't it? There's a vegetable garden here. Linda steps closer and freezes. Neat rows, fresh green leaves, dark soil that looks cared for, not abandoned. Her voice comes out surprised and soft. The garden is really beautiful. Quang lets out a small laugh, half proud and half relieved. You know, I once said I regretted planting a garden here. I said it like it was a mistake. He gestures around them. But it's right here. Linda turns to him, still shocked. This garden is amazing. Did you buy the whole thing? Quang nods. Yes, this land is mine. Then he adds, quietly proud. I bought all of this a long time ago. The landlady sold me the entire vegetable garden. Linda stands still, her fingers brushing the leaves. After everything they've gone through, this simple patch of green feels like something unreal, like a tiny miracle hidden in the mountains. So, you've given me the whole garden? She asks. Quang nods again. Planting vegetables here will be wonderful, right? We should stay here. This garden is better than the one over there. Linda smiles, and you can hear the new hope in her voice. Yes. From now on, I'll take care of it. This is mine now. They sit down at the edge of the garden to rest. The breeze carries the smell of earth and leaves, and for a moment, everything feels peaceful, like the world isn't chasing them. Quang looks toward an empty plot nearby, bare and waiting. But where do you plan to build the house? Linda follows his gaze. The space is quiet, but it feels important. This isn't just land, it's a chance, a beginning. Still far away, but finally possible. Quang claps his hands once like he's waking himself up. I'll clean this up. Then tomorrow we build the house, okay? Will you come help me? Linda nods immediately. Of course. They climb up to the higher area, and the mood shifts. Up here it's messy. Rocks everywhere, uneven ground, old clutter scattered like someone gave up halfway through. Quang points around. This is the upper level. Then he starts lifting things one by one, dragging and stacking, trying to turn chaos into a plan. Every few minutes he glances at Linda. Are you tired? Want to rest? Linda wipes dirt onto her pants and keeps working. No, I'm not tired. He asks again later, softer this time. Are you sure? She shakes her head. I'm fine. But Quang can see it, her slow breaths, the way her hands tremble just a little. And inside his mind, a thought flashes sharp and heavy. This place isn't stable. He looks at the slope, at the loose soil, at the rocks that could shift. Another thought follows right after. We need a stone house. Somewhere safer. He doesn't say it out loud. He just keeps smiling, keeps encouraging her, keeps doing the heavier work himself. By late afternoon, the sun starts sinking, and the air turns cooler. Sweat sticks to their skin. Dust rises with every movement and settles back down like it's trying to claim the land again. Quang lifts the heaviest pieces alone, pushing Linda to sit for a moment. Rest. Just a second. Linda sits, but only briefly. She watches him like she's holding on to him with her eyes. No big speeches, no dramatic promises, just two people building something with their hands because nothing else is guaranteed. When the work clears a little, Quang grabs a stick and draws lines on the ground. He points as he talks. We build the house facing this way, from here to there. He steps it out roughly. Maybe 4 meters wide. Let's build a small house first, okay? Linda nods, tired but steady. A small house is enough. Quang picks up some tools and starts explaining like he's teaching and planning at the same time. This is for tying rope. This one, we need to pack more material in. It has to be tight to be stable. He scrapes away sharp edges and warns her, be careful, lots of rocks. They begin digging a simple foundation. Not deep, not huge, just enough for a small home. Dirt flies, sweat drips into their eyes. But those rough lines on the ground feel powerful, like a boundary between the past and whatever comes next. Finally, Quang straightens up and exhales hard. He hears water nearby and points down the slope. Let's go to the stream. We need to see if there are good rocks. As they walk, he hesitates. Should I bring the shovel? Linda shakes her head. No need. At the stream, the sound of water instantly softens everything. Quang crouches, scoops up sand, and lets it fall through his fingers. There's a lot of sand here. We can use this. Yeah. Let's pick rocks here. They start choosing smaller stones, piling them up. Quang rolls over a wheelbarrow and begins loading it. Pick the smaller ones, he says. When Linda reaches for the handles to help push, Quang stops her gently. Stay here. I can push it myself. Linda gives him a look, half stubborn, half caring, then kneels again and keeps picking stones. After a moment, she says, let me help you. Sit down and rest. Quang shakes his head, but his voice softens. Just a couple more loads, then it'll be enough. He looks at the stream, the bright sand, the wet stones shining in the light, and he says quietly, almost like he's trying to convince himself too, the scenery here is really beautiful, isn't it? Linda smiles, breathing hard. It is. And we'll make it our home. And even though their bodies are exhausted, that word, home, hits different now. Because they're not just dreaming anymore, they're starting it. The next day, their bodies wake up before their minds do. Sore shoulders, stiff fingers, legs that feel heavier than yesterday. But the garden is still glowing down the slope, and that little patch of green gives them a weird kind of strength, like a silent reminder. This is real. Up on the higher ground, the messy site looks the same at first glance. Rocks, uneven dirt, scattered debris. But now it also has lines, a plan, a beginning. We keep going today, Quang says, exhaling as he looks at the marked space. If we finish the base faster, we can start stacking stones. Linda pulls her hair back and nods. Tell me what to do. They start mixing materials near the foundation. The mixture is stubborn, too dry, then too wet, then dry again. Quang stirs with a stick until his arms ache, while Linda brings water in small buckets, stepping carefully so she doesn't slip. We need to stir more, he says, forcing the mixture to turn. If it's not mixed well, it won't hold. The sun climbs higher, hotter. Sweat starts running down their backs like it has nowhere else to go. The work becomes a rhythm. Stir, pour, press, adjust. Dirt sticks to their skin. Dust floats up and settles again. A sharp stone bites Quang's palm when he grabs the wrong edge. He jerks his hand back fast and hisses through his teeth. This rock is too hard, he mutters. It hurts. Linda's head snaps up immediately. Let me see. He tries to hide it with a quick shake and a small smile. It's fine, just a bit red. but his hand is already raw. Yesterday's scratches look angrier today, and the new scrape adds to it. "Does it hurt a lot?" she asks, voice tight with worry. "No." He lies automatically, then softens. "It stings. I'll put medicine on it when we get back." Linda doesn't argue. She just quietly starts choosing smaller stones, like she's trying to protect his hands without making him feel weak. Her eyes keep flicking to his fingers every time he reaches down. For a while, neither of them talks much. They don't need to. The land asks for everything: time, strength, patience, and it doesn't care if you're scared. Still, small moments slip in, tiny breaths of hope between the heavy parts. Quang glances down toward the garden, then back to Linda. "That garden, it's yours now." Linda's lips curve into a tired smile. "Then this house. We build it together." He nods like that sentence steadies him more than he expected. They press the mixture into place and check the lines again. The foundation isn't deep, and the house won't be tall, but each careful push feels like turning fear into something solid. The boundary on the ground starts looking less like random scratches and more like a future. The heat gets brutal. The mixture begins drying too fast, so Quang moves quicker, trying to beat the sun. His breathing turns rough, and he finally steps back, wiping his face with his sleeve. "I'm so tired," he admits with a tired laugh, like he's been holding it in all morning. Linda exhales hard and sits on a flat rock. "Then rest." He drops down beside her, shoulders slumping. For a moment, there's only wind, distant birds, and their heavy breathing. "Hold on a few more days," he says quietly. "Just a few more, then we'll have a house to live in." Linda stares at the foundation line, letting the words sink in. A few more days. Not forever. Not impossible. Just a few more. He looks around at the trees and the open sky, trying to lift the mood before it collapses under exhaustion. "The scenery here is really beautiful," he says. "The air feels fresher too." Linda nods, voice soft. "It does." He points to a tall tree nearby, straight and strong. "That tree is beautiful. Tomorrow I'll cut it down and bring it to you." She gives him a look, half amused, half touched. "Bring it to me like a gift?" He smiles. "A gift, and we can use it. Beauty that becomes shelter." After the break, they head back down to the stream. The water is calm, flowing like it has no idea what they're fighting for. The sand glitters faintly, and the stones shine where the water has washed them clean. They start gathering again. Quang loads the wheelbarrow with smaller rocks, stacking them carefully so they don't spill on the way back up. Linda reaches for the handles. "Let me help push." He shakes his head, stubborn. "I can do it." Linda steps in front of him, hands still on the wheelbarrow, eyes steady. "Don't carry everything alone." That stops him. His shoulders drop, like he's been holding a weight even when his hands were empty. "Okay," he says quietly, "but be careful." They push together. The wheelbarrow creaks, stones rattle. The slope pulls at their legs. Halfway up, Quang pauses, breathing hard. Linda doesn't let go. "You okay?" she asks. He nods, but this time he doesn't pretend it's easy. "I'm okay, just tired." They keep going, step by step, until they reach the site again and unload the rocks beside the foundation. The pile grows. The plan looks closer. By late afternoon, the heat breaks and the air cools. The sky turns warm colors, and shadows stretch across the land like long fingers. Their bodies are wrecked, but the work is visible now. Lines, stones, a base that didn't exist before. "This is enough for today," he says. Linda sinks down and laughs weakly. "Thank goodness." Quang flexes his injured hand and winces. Linda catches it immediately, gently taking his hand into hers without asking. "You're not fine," she whispers. He tries to smile. "I'm fine enough." She looks up, serious. "Don't lie to me." His gaze holds hers for a second, and then he lets out a slow breath. "Okay. It hurts." Linda's grip tightens, steady, protective. "Tonight I'll clean it. You rest." For a moment he can't speak. He looks away toward the trees, swallowing whatever rises in his throat. "Thank you," he murmurs. Darkness settles in, and they pack up the tools. The house isn't standing yet, but the ground is marked. The stones are gathered. The foundation has started. As they walk back down together, dirty, exhausted, hands aching, one thing feels different. They're not just escaping anymore. They're building.
Cây mía đổ bất ngờ khiến cả nhóm kêu, rồi cười xòa vì kịp đỡ nhau. Chiều xuống, Linda buồn bã vì con rối của mình đã biến mất. Nghi có kẻ trộm rình quanh nhà.